two right over here.
Do you want to come sit here? Sure. Sit right here.
Yeah, there's two right there. Okay, I'm going to get started because I like to be on time, and I want to try to respect your Saturday morning. First, good morning. My name is Jan Pippin. I am the director of this program, and I feel the need pretty every year to tell you a little bit about the history of the program. Please know that you're not, because you're here today, you're not committed. You can listen to all this information that I'm about to spew, and then you can go home and talk with your family and think about it. So you're not committed just because you showed up this morning. So let me just get that out there first. I think it's important that you know a little bit about the history of our program. There are lots of track clubs in Nashville, so I just want you to know kind of where we came from and then what our mission statement is. I think that's important for you to know. We can trace our history of this program all the way back into the 70s. Big time man named Jabbo Hesse from BGA started a track club called the Whippets in the 70s, and then he handed that program off to another big name in Nashville. Her name is Susan Russ. She was the athletic director and the head track and cross country coach at Harpeth Hall for years. She's in the Tennessee Coaching Hall of Fame. She's a legend. So the Whippets merged with another program called Harpeth Valley in 1983. Harpeth Valley was a program that a dad from NBA started just so some of the NBA guys had an opportunity to stretch their track season into the summer. So the Whippets and Harpeth Valley merged, and then there was another track club in Nashville called the Tennessee Track Club. It was mainly a vaulting program, and that coach merged with them in 92. So the Harpeth Valley Track Club in around 92 had 80 or 100 members on it, a big coaching staff, and their mission was to make track available to anybody who was interested in Nashville, and they really cared about just promoting the sport and teaching athletes correct form, correct technique, race strategy, sportsmanship. So they spent a lot of time in education and not so much about colors of medals at the end of the summer, which obviously take care of themselves if you do the other stuff and you learn the other stuff. In 2000, we changed the name and the colors from Harpeth Valley Track Club to Precision. So we've been Precision since 2000, but again, we can trace the roots all the way back into the 70s. And I just feel like I always want to give credit to those people that this club grew out of. A lot of the other clubs in town, they pop up, and then it's usually a dad or a mom that wants to coach their child, and when their child ages out, the club goes away. I've seen a lot of that along the way, and I just want you to know that we're stable and we plan to be stable, so I don't think you have to worry about that. Normally in the summer we have somewhere between 60 and 80 people training, and I'm going to put it out there right now that you do not have to go to the track meets that we offer in order to train with us in the summer. There are some people who just are here to learn more about a particular event so they can be better for their school team the next season, and that's okay if you're not interested in racing with us. We don't treat you any differently. Everybody gets the same attention and the same instruction. So if racing is not something you want to do or something you can do in the summer, you can still come and train with us all summer if you're interested. So just like in Harpeth Valley, our goals in the summer are education and development. And we spend a great deal of time on running mechanics, starting block technique, race strategy, field event technique. We just think it's important. We just, during the school year, see so many athletes that we know have a lot more potential, but it's heartbreaking to see that they don't really know what they're doing. So we spend a lot of time in the summer trying to rectify that for as many athletes as possible. We try to promote the sport in Nashville, and we work a lot on sportsmanship. We work a lot on how to be at a track meet, what to do, when to warm up, where to check in, how to talk to officials. Those are all things that we work on during the summer. We have a pretty large staff, and something else that's important for you to know up front. This staff when I tell you a little bit about their pedigree, you're going to be probably pretty wowed. They donate their time to coach in the summer, which is why I'm able to keep the price of the club down so much. They don't ask for a penny to come and coach the kids on the track all summer. They care about kids, they care about track and field, and so it's a huge gift that they give. So again, I'm Jan Pippin. I have two kind of throws coaches. Rob Carlson coaches some here. His sons both went here. And Rob threw in the Olympic trials. He was an All-American at Tennessee. He drops in once a week, twice a week, but his son Brock, who's throwing at Tiffin University right now, is our constant throws coach. So the great thing about Brock is that he's still training, he's still competing, so he's still in shape, he's still doing it every day. So he gets in the ring with them, he demonstrates a lot. He's young, so our throwers enjoy being around him. So he is our constant throws coach, and then as I said, his dad drops in and looks over his shoulder sometimes. So we have both of them. We added two new coaches last summer. One is a woman named Jen Castle, and the other is Perrin Lamb, who's standing over here in a blue shirt. Perrin was a decathlete, so we're fortunate that he can jump in wherever we're short on a particular day at practice, but he's energetic and positive and a great teacher, so we're happy to have Perrin. We also have another decathlete on our staff. His name is Matt Pogue, and he was a decathlete for me, and then he was a decathlete at Auburn. So between the two of them, we have any event covered that we don't have a specific coach for on that day. They're both really great at any event I ask them to teach, so pretty thankful for them. Ryan Douglas, who is the assistant coach here, is a sprint mechanics coach, and he's probably the best one around. You can always tell when an athlete's been working with him when they come out of the blocks and stand up in their drive phase as a sprinter, because he's a really amazing teacher. He went to Hillsboro. He ran for me. He ran at Tennessee. He was an All-American at Tennessee in the 400. So he's a great teacher. Doug Jones, who is the head coach here, is our distance coach. He also back here behind me, and he coaches high jump along with his distance. We've got a sprint coach that'll be in and out some this summer because she just took a new job. Her name is Lauren Schattinger. She ran at Miami of Ohio, and she works at Vanderbilt in medical research. So she just took a different position, and so I don't know. She may not be able to be as consistent with us this summer as she has been in the past, but she's another great role model. So that is the kind of the crux of our staff. But I just, as I said, Doug ran college track at Purdue, Ryan ran college track at Tennessee, Matt was at Auburn. I mean, these are really great athletes and great teachers that your athletes would work under in the summer with this program. Our start date is June 3rd. The reason we don't start as early as a lot of the other summer clubs do is because most of us are still coaching high school, and the high school state is not until May 23rd or 22nd, depending on where you coach. And so we're not really available to start another program until we get finished with our high school programs. So June 3rd is our first practice. It's here. We practice at 5 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 5 to 7:30. I know that sounds like a long time. Here's how we structure our practice. Everybody warms up at 5 o'clock, and then we break into our technique sessions based on the number of athletes we have and their needs. So we'll split people up by their amount of knowledge or the event they're interested in. So after warm-ups, we might send older long jumpers to long jump and keep younger sprinters at sprint mechanics, and distance runners might be doing some kind of form drills. And then we'll do that for about 40 minutes, and then we switch to another station for about another 35 or 40 minutes. And then everybody runs a workout at the same time. We put all of our toys and gadgets away, and everybody runs a workout. Each of those coaches that I mentioned would be responsible for an age group or an area of the track during a warm-up, during a workout. We try to group the people that we have in the summer, first by their age and then next by their ability or knowledge level. If we have a younger athlete who's much faster than all the other people in his age group, we might move him up and let him run with an older group of people. Or if we have somebody brand new who's older and they need more instruction than the older guys are getting because they know more already, we might switch them around. So we try to personalize our attention as much as we can inside a large group of people. My coaches are really good about reading athletes and knowing how much they can handle. Some of our guys will be intense and work hard every single day, and then sometimes there are athletes who can't handle the intensity, and our coaches are really good about reading the room and figuring out the needs and knowing when it's time to have a popsicle and when it's time to go hard again. So it's pretty amazing to watch them and how much personal development they can do inside of a group. We don't have an attendance policy for our program because it's summer, and sometimes you have vacations or camps or a birthday party, or it's just hot and you want to go to the movies instead of run on the track. That is completely up to you and your family. Just know that whatever we do when they're gone, they're just missing that instruction. I do ask that if you're going to go away and be gone for a bit, that you let me know so that we don't worry that maybe your athlete went home hurt and didn't tell us, or something happened, or you had a car accident. I don't want to worry, and so if you're going to be gone, it helps me to, it helps us to plan our practice, and it helps my peace of mind if you let me know if you're able. If you go on a vacation in the summer and you give us enough heads up, our coaches are good about giving your athlete a workout plan while they're gone. If you tell us the night that you're leaving that you won't be back tomorrow, it's a little hard for us to write a plan. But if you give us a little bit of a heads up, we can usually give you a plan that can be done wherever you're going to keep them active while they're gone, and we're happy to do that. Our weather procedure is the same one that we use at NBA. William, what happens when it rains on the track? We get wet. So yeah, it rains on the track. It rains at track meets. We get wet. If it's going to storm, we have the ability to put the boys up, or the boys, I teach boys. We have the ability to put the athletes up on the porch or inside one of the buildings to keep them safe. If it looks like the storm will pass and we can get some work done, we'll do that. If it looks like a storm is going to set in for our entire practice, I will cancel practice. I try not to do that any more than I have to. I think I did it once last summer. When I do that, I try to email the team, post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I try to do as much as I can to let you know. If you live really far away and it looks like there's going to be a storm all night and you don't want to chance the gas money and fighting traffic, that again is completely up to you and your family. But we will get wet. So if it's raining, we will practice. But I guess that's probably all you need to know about that. Hydration is important, and hydration doesn't just happen at practice. So it's important that they start thinking about, if they're not already, taking in enough fluid all day, every day. It's getting hotter, so if they're still running right now, it's time now to start working on that. One glass of water right before practice is not going to be enough. And if you want them out here working at their best, it's important that they take care of their body all day, every day. So that means, water all day. That also means regular meals. I know a lot of kids in the summer are home by themselves while their parents are at work, and they'll sleep till noon and eat a snack. That's not going to go very well at a 5 o'clock practice. So if you could keep them on some kind of regular meal schedule, that's another thing that will allow them to be at their best when they're with us. Cars don't go without gas in them, and that needs to be a regular, consistent intake of nutrition. So that's something that you should think about if you want them to get everything out of our practice and our instruction. It's important for them to do that. Some of them even bring snacks with them for our practices. Depending on the heat index, we will take breaks often. We ask them to bring a water bottle every single day. We have the ability to refill those water bottles if they drink all of their water. But we keep an eye on the heat index in the summer, and we try to follow what the TSSAA guidelines are for that, as far as how often we take breaks and how long we take breaks. So we are aware of that in the summertime and do a pretty good job with that. If your athlete comes home early in the summer, please expect them to be sore. There's a difference between soreness and injury, and if you're not sure, our staff is really good about helping to evaluate that. But no matter what kind of conditioning your athlete is in, when they change programs, we're going to do something different than the last program did, and it's probably going to make them sore. So again, we're all happy to, since we know what we did the day prior, we'll know if we did something that should have made them sore or if it's something to be concerned about. So we're always happy to help you evaluate pains and aches and such. And at the risk of offending somebody, if you do end up at a doctor, you're probably going to get a lot more quicker and more aggressive results if you see an orthopedic sports doctor than if you take your child to their pediatrician. I'm sorry if you're a pediatrician, but pediatrician usually says, well, let's just sit down for 2 weeks. And you don't want to sit down for 2 weeks if you're an athlete, if that's not really what's right. So a sports doctor is going to be a little more aggressive about how can we get them back in training as fast as possible and safely. So again, we can make some recommendations if you need some help with that, but if you're not sure and they're not sure, we're happy to evaluate before you make a doctor's appointment. Proper shoes are important, and it's not about what the shoe looks like on the outside. My shoes look fine on the outside, but these shoes are completely worn out on the inside. We're talking about the structure and the support that the shoe gives your foot and your legs. So a good rule of thumb for training shoes is a new shoe every season. So if your athlete is in shoes that you bought for their school track season, it's probably time to buy a new pair of shoes for their summer track season. That's one way we can try to avoid aches and pains in their shins and their knees and their ankles. If they're in old shoes that aren't supporting their legs, then that's just an easy way to start developing an injury. We don't have any kind of brand or model that we support because every foot is shaped differently. If you're not sure, you can go somewhere like Team Nashville or Fleet Feet, and they're good about looking at feet and looking at styles of runners and finding a shoe that fits your athlete's foot. But we don't have a particular one that we support because everybody's different. We'll talk about spikes when we get into the summer. They're not a necessity, but especially with sprinters and jumpers, they like to have them when they're working on starting blocks and running down the runway. We can help you individually with what that looks like as we get into the summer if you need help. There are such a wide variety of spikes that it would take me a long time this morning to describe all of that to you, but we're happy to help you with that individually as we get into the summer if you need help. We'll give each athlete that registers for the program 2 precision t-shirts. As often as you can get those clean, please have them wear those to practice. There's a lot of things going on Father Ryan's campus in the summer, and those shirts help to identify them as an athlete that is supposed to be on the campus so that they can try to recognize people who may not be here for great reasons. So if you can keep those shirts clean as often as possible and send them to school and send them to practice in those shirts, that helps us, that helps the school. If you can't get them clean, please send them in something that's a neutral shirt, not an Innsworth or a Brentwood Academy shirt that's going to distract a Father Ryan team while they're trying to train. We need to be respectful of their school programs, and so if you can't get your precision shirts clean, just wear something else, not your school shirt. I just think that's respectful for their programs here. We don't want to be a distraction to them as they work. I've already said that competition is optional. We do the AAU circuit in the summer. Since we focus so much on education, we feel like we need a lot of time to teach before we go to a track meet. So we don't go to track meets every weekend. There are clubs in town who go to track meets every weekend. And it's hot and it's summer and weekend track meets are expensive. And so we don't feel like that's right for every family. I know it's not right for my coaches that are donating their time to teach your athletes. So we do fewer track meets than some other clubs in town do. If your family individually wants more track meets, or your athlete is in a position where they need some exposure for colleges, we can work through that individually for your athlete. And we do that, we do it when we think that that's what's right for your athletes. But we also think that they need to enjoy it, and there are only so many hot track meets you can go to in the summer and still think it's fun. So we teach a lot, then we go to a track meet and do what we learn, then we teach a lot more and we go to another track meet and do what we've learned. And we really focus on doing at a meet what you've been doing in practice. So we need time to teach to make that happen. Summer track is an age group competition. You compete in an age group that is based on your birth year. So up through 14 years old, they are single year age groups. So there's an 8 and under division, and there's a 9-year-old division, and a 10-year-old division. It's 1 year at a time until they get to be 15. 15 and 16-year-olds run together, 17 and 18-year-olds run together. And again, it's based on your birth year. So if you have a fall birth date, and you're only 11 in the summer, but you're turning 12, you have to run with the 12-year-olds. You have to run with the age group that you're going to be during the year, the whole birth year, calendar year. If you are turning 19, you can run the year you're turning 19 as long as you don't turn 19 until after the national track meet in August. Ends August 3rd. So if your birthday is after that, the year you're turning 19, you can run that extra year. That's how they try to make it up to the people who have late birthdays. I can answer more questions individually about that as you make your decisions. The meets that we go to in the summer are a tournament series. So you have to go to the first one in order to go to the second one. You can't drop in and out. The first one is a really good opportunity for us to teach. It's pretty well attended. There's decent competition, but not enough to scare you to death. And the top 16 athletes in each event advance to the next track meet. So we don't lose very many people out of that first meet. All of our kids will be in the top 16, and you advance to the next track meet. The next track meet is called the National Qualifier, and it is much harder, much more competition. And I think it's the top 4 that advance out of that one into the national championship. So it gets a lot harder. But I just wanted you to understand that you can't like drop in and drop out. So if you don't go to the first one, you can't go to the second one. But again, if that doesn't work for your family, you don't have to go to meets at all with us to train all summer and learn about the program. When I give you the registration forms in a minute, there's some questions about multi-events. And there are always some people who don't understand what multi-events are. That doesn't mean that you're going to run the 100, the 200, and the long jump. Multi-events are for the oldest division, the heptathlon for women and the decathlon for men. I'll explain what that is in just a second. If you're younger, if you're a middle school age person, that's the pentathlon. And if you're younger than that, grade school people do the triathlon. So that is a completely separate thing from the open track meet. If you're brand new at track and field, a lot of times will suggest that you do that event because it allows you to do a lot of events. In summer, you're limited to, if you're a young athlete, you're limited to 3 events in the track meet, and older athletes are limited to 4 events in the track meet. So if you're trying to do a lot of stuff just to try what you like and what you might be good at, the triathlon or the pentathlon, you could add to your other events, and it would give you an opportunity to try more things in the summer. That competition is a little more nurturing. It's small. There aren't that many people there. The kids move around from one of those events to the next together, and they get to be friends, and it's a pretty low-key event, so it's an opportunity for you to try a lot of stuff without being scared to death. But when you see the forms, when it asks about multi-events, that's what it's talking about. For really young athletes, the triathlon is a high jump, a shot put, and for boys it's the 400, and for girls it's the 200. And then when you get to middle school, when you do the pentathlon, hurdles, high jump, long jump, shot, girls do the 800, boys do the 1500. And then when you move into the high school ages, for decathlon and heptathlon, it's a lot more events. That's over a 2-day thing. The heptathlon is 7 events the women do over 2 days, and decathlon is 10 that the men do over 2 days. So if you have more questions about that, I'm happy to answer those questions about that. Almost done. I have hard copies of some registration information, and it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a page on the front that just asks name, address, birth date. It does ask about allergies. I do pay a lot of attention to that, so make sure if I need to know about your child's allergies that's clear to me. There's a medical waiver on the back of it. I don't need to have your doctor checkup thing like they do at school. There's a medical waiver on the back, just says we understand that we're doing athletics and there could be an injury, and I won't sue you if my child rolls his ankle on the track. There's a sheet that gives you the meet dates and asks you what your plans are for the meets. If you're not sure about that today, again, you can take this with you and think about it and let us know later. You don't have to make that commitment today. You don't have to make any commitment today if you're not sure if this is the right place for your athlete. But the dates are here, and there's a questionnaire that just says, yes, I'm going, or no, I'm not. Eventually, I'll need that back because I will order t-shirts and warm-up pants for all members of the track team. I only order jerseys for those that are going to meets. There's no need for you to have a jersey if you're not going to race. So, and I don't have a lot of room in my garage for extra stuff, so I try to order that order as closely to what we actually need as possible. So there's a sizing sheet on the back. It asks you your t-shirt size, your warm-up pant size, and then it gets a little more specific about girls' jerseys, boys' jerseys. There's a unisex one for youth athletes. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. And again, you can take this with you if you're not sure. I'm going to open it up to questions in just a minute and see what, there's some veteran parents in the room. I'm going to ask them what I've forgotten. But I have these. We can take cash or checks today. I also have, I have the little thing for Venmo if you want to Venmo. If you Venmo me, please put your athlete's name in the thing so I get all of that straight in my records. Okay, Stephanie, what did I forget?
Nothing that I can think of. You covered it all?
Yeah?
I think so.
What do you think? What did I not leave?
I think that's most of it. The one thing I like to add on for distance runners, if your kids are more geared towards distance, it's more of a philosophy approach for me. I've been fortunate enough to coach a lot of really good distance runners over the last 30-some years, but summer's not a big thing for me to coach your kids as distance runners, as in the sense that I don't want to lay on a bunch of mileage on them. If they're hoping to run really fast distance races in summer, summer's typically not the best time to do it. Summer's a great time to improve on speed, maybe race different distances that are not their typical distances. It's one of those things, I see it a lot in high school where kids are running 80, 90 miles a week, and yes, they're having good results, but they're also breaking a lot of times too. Summer's not, summer, I have to kind of balance if it's a high school kid that's going into a cross-country season in the fall, but also wanting to race in the summer, that's a tough combination because it's two different types of training. So we have to, as coaches, and that's where you need to have your favorite runner communicate well. What's their intent for the summer? Are they planning on running a fast track season and then in the fall they play football or something like that so they can come back to track for a while? Are they planning on running cross country? Because as the cross country coach here for boys and girls, my suggestion for my runners is to get good mileage coming off of track season, getting ready for cross-country season. Well, that would be opposite of what I would want you to do for racing and track season. So there's some conflict there. So if you're in that distance realm, you need to really kind of think about what the purpose of the summer is, and what your intent is, because as a coach, I kind of have to know that so I can kind of plan around what you're wanting to get out of the season. So I think that's always, I think the program as a whole, all three of my boys that went through here, I have a junior in high school right now here that runs track. It was a great opportunity for them to try a lot of things. I had the oldest was a decathlete, the middle one ended up being a sprinter, none of them ended up distance runners. I don't know how that happened, but it just didn't work out. So even if you think your son or daughter is a distance runner in elementary school, and mine were great distance runners in elementary, middle school, they really were. I mean, the middle one ran 206 and 800 as a 7th grader. So, and he ended up being a 100, 200, 400. You just don't know. So this track opportunity gives them a lot of opportunity, especially for the younger ones, to really try a bunch of things. Because you don't know when they get to be in 9th or 10th grade really what their bodies are going to look like for that purpose. So I always encourage even the distance runners, take advantage, try stuff. I couldn't even get my youngest to even run. He just threw turtle javelin. We thought that was fun.
Yeah, now he's the fastest 400 guy in the state right now.
So.
He won't say that to you. Yeah, to piggyback on what he's saying about that, if you have a distance runner who sustained an injury early and they're just getting back and they want a track season, this might be the right place for them to race through the summer. But like he said, if they're finishing a track season right now and they want to run cross country in the fall, then that changes how we train them in the summer, because you don't want them going into cross country season exhausted. So that would need some communication between the athlete and us to help them with where they are, what they need, and what their goals are. I've got a young man over there who sustained an injury earlier this year and had to have surgery, and so he's just starting his track season. So we're going to go hard all summer with him. But with some, it might be time, like he's saying. Our philosophy a lot of time with younger distance runners is keep them in the shortest race that they can have any success in at all, to keep them running fast. Because you don't want them to lose the sprint ability as they get older. And if they always run long and slow, eventually they forget how to be fast. So we challenge them a lot in the summer with their rhythm and their tempo of their feet. But we can accommodate what your goals are for them. Okay, do I have any questions I need to answer? Because I need to get you guys out of here. Yes, ma'am.
What about throws too?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't think about, let me try to throw the javelin or
Right.
try to throw the discus.
Yeah, we have great coaches for that in the summer. Yes, ma'am.
I just got a quick question. Can you go back over the days of the week for practice?
Yes, we do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 5 to 7:30. We will be here except for during dead period. And I'm hoping we're over at Montgomery Bell Academy during dead period. I'll let you know that when I know for sure. You guys have a question? Everybody. Yes, sir.
You said something about replacing the running shoes once every season. Would that be the same for the spikes?
No. As long as your spikes are in good shape, they're not falling apart, they're fine. Yes, ma'am.
You didn't mention hurdles. So
I'm a hurdler.
Okay, that's what I had heard.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a hurdler. Yes, ma'am.
How long does it go? So it starts June 3rd.
We train everybody until like the end of the second week of July.
Yeah, usually like the middle of July.
And then the last couple of weeks of training, we normally ask that the kids who are not going to nationals take the last couple of weeks off and get ready for school so that we can focus on the kids going to nationals those last 2 weeks. So you'll get a good 6 or 7 weeks of training. Everybody will. Another question? Yes, sir.
So you're gonna have the list of the places that there will be.
Yes, the locations of the meets are on the paperwork. Yes. Yep. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry? We sometimes do relays if we have enough people in a particular age group. Before we start running relays, we try to get all of the families to either commit, yes, we're going as far as we can go, or no, we're not. Because it's heartbreaking if we get into the summer and then all of a sudden one family says, oh, we're not going any further. So if we have a group that's all like-minded and all in, then yes, ma'am, we would run relays. Again, you can take these home. Don't feel like you have to do this today. I have pins if you need pins. I have a receipt book if you need to give me cash. I have a receipt book that I can write receipts. I have a Venmo scan thing. What I didn't talk to you about is the price, because that's always the awkward part for me. I never want anybody not to run track over money, but what we charge for the whole summer is $350. That $350 buys the t-shirts, the pants, and the jersey if you're racing. It buys an AAU card for your athlete to be covered in supplemental insurance when they're with us on the track. It helps me pay Father Ryan to use their track in the summer. It pays for your entry into the first track meet, and it pays for my coaches to go to the track meet and have a bed to sleep in and food to eat while they're there. So I stretch that $350 as far as I can. I won't come back and ask you for more money until the second track meet. I didn't budget money for nationals and the multi-events. I didn't budget that into this $350. So if you get on into the summer and you're still racing, I will come back and ask you to pay entry fee into nationals. But before that, I try not to nickel and dime people after we start the summer. That's hard on you and it's hard on me. If you need to spread that money out, I'm able to do that. And if you individually need to talk to me about an issue with that, I'm happy to talk to you privately about that. Because again, we don't want anybody to not be able to run because of the finances part of it. So if I can help, I will. I have a couple of families in place that always try to help athletes who can't. So if that's you, then I'm happy to talk to you privately about that. Yes, sir.
You have a deadline for getting this back to you.
I would like to have these back. Thank you for asking me that. There's a date listed in here. The date I listed is May 18th. That's the end of next week. I can stretch that a little bit, but the later I wait to take these back up, the harder it is for me to get jerseys back before the first track meet for the kids that are racing. So as many of these as I can have completed by then, it helps me with my gear order. So yeah, thank you for asking me that. That is on the page with the racing. It says, I think Friday, May 18th, I think I listed as the date. Yes, sir.
So 5 o'clock, June 3rd, where do I take the key?
Father Ryan's track.
Go around that side?
You can, when you come into Father Ryan's campus on that main entrance, if you go to the left and go around the other edge of the campus, you can drive all the way up to the track. Thank you for asking me that. So yeah, we'll meet on the track on the 3rd. Yes, sir.
Do you guys do like a winter season at all?
Yes. Our group gets much smaller, but yes, for people who don't have that at their school, we'll talk about that in the summer. Yes. Anything else? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Long jump?
Yes, ma'am. We have long jump. Karen's a long jumper. I'm a long jumper. Our other decathlete's a long jumper. So yes, ma'am. We'll long jump, triple jump in the summer. Yes.
What were the trials on
Triathlon is for young age below 12 and under, and it's high jump, shot, and for a girl it's 200, for a boy it's 400 meters. Okay, I'm going to turn that video camera off. I'm happy to help you or answer any questions individually. And if you want to do this today, great. And if you need to take it with you, then have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Judy.
Yes, ma'am.